All right, Florida State recruiting update. I had to pull this video down from YouTube and re-upload it because Richie and I had a conversation about Myron Charles flipping and heading over to Texas. And after we had made that video, after we had that conversation, Javion Hilson, defensive end, the number one edge rusher in the country, decommitted, and it looks like he's probably on his way to Texas too. So I did want to address that up front in our conversation. And when we were chatting, we didn't know about that decommitment. That one was one that completely, I believe, blindsided FSU. I believe they knew about the Myron Charles thing, and maybe that was something that was going to happen, whether they started 0-2 or not. But the Hilson one definitely took people by surprise. Certainly not a good sign. When you watch the video, I may reference still having the number one edge committed. That's why, right? Don't jump down my throat. Don't jump in the comments saying, well, you said we recorded it before the unfortunate decommitment happened. I'm going to say this in the video. I'm going to probably talk about this further, but it is very concerning from a recruiting perspective that you are bleeding right now. I mean, you didn't have a stacked class to begin with. You had a very small class of really good players. But to go from 13 down to 11 is probably worrisome. And I don't know about anybody that has plans to decommit. This is not a hint, but you have to wonder if they don't start winning pretty quickly, what does the rest of the commit list look like? How many kids are going to stay committed? Kids are in a very funny situation right now with NIL and everything else that's involved. I think Florida State's very competitive in the NIL space. I think they need to become more competitive there in the high school ranks. But man, it's really easy to negatively recruit when a team is losing, and so Florida State needs to figure that out and figure that out quickly. And we'll see if they're able to. So with all that said, here's the video. Here's the conversation with me and Richie.
All right, Richie, let's talk a little recruiting and let's get out of here. Florida State loses a commitment from Myron Charles. Oh, sorry, Harlan, I jumped ahead of you a little bit, but we'll still do this first. Florida State loses a commitment from Myron Charles, flips to Texas. One of Florida State's better defensive commitments, one of the better defensive line commitments or recruits in the country, flips to Texas. I think it was extremely close with Texas the first time. And based on what they did to Michigan yesterday, based on how Florida State has looked the first 2 weeks, based on the money, that was part of it. We talked about this. Florida State, I believe it was Myron Charles that said something to the effect of, I could go somewhere else and make more money. Maybe that was Solomon Thomas. I could be wrong on that. But I think that's, if you're not paying as much, which I do think Texas offered a pretty hefty NIL deal, and if you aren't winning games and that your main competition is going into the big house and beating the crap out of Michigan, our defending national champions, yeah, you're probably going to lose some recruitment and it's going to be tough. So a tough one to drop that kid. I don't know if Florida State can really get back in there. The flip back doesn't seem to happen very often. But if you're Myron Charles, you certainly, or if you're a fan, you certainly would have preferred him to stay committed. But if you're him, I don't. Hopefully, this doesn't get taken wrong or out of context. Do you blame him? If you're getting paid more money and you're going to a better team, Florida State needs to improve on the field and they need to get a little bit better there. So. I will say this also, Florida State needs to do everything they can to hold on to the class that they have right now because, we've talked about it. They're going to lose more games this year. I'd be pretty shocked if they finish it at 10-2. Actually, I would be insanely shocked, and it would be the greatest turnaround I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, they're going to need to do some work to hang on to some of their kids. Richie, I've got other thoughts on recruiting, but I would be more than happy to continue to chat through that.
Yeah, and I'm not the big recruiting guy here, obviously, but yeah, Texas, they were impressive. They went into the big house and just had their way with Michigan in a way I did not think was going to happen. I'm glad I did not bet on the game because I would have bet on Michigan on the point spread. And Texas just said, no, we're coming in here. We're going to do whatever we want with you guys. And then after the game, took one of our best recruits, which
Brutal.
it happens. And unfortunately, to your point, TJ, that Texas is the better program currently, right?
Sure.
Right now, If you're going to pick a team or pick a program that you want to go to, and it's Florida State or Texas, take region out of everything and just say, I just want one of these two schools. I'll probably get a little more money out of Texas, and they're probably going to have a better chance to compete for national championship, which I don't know if that's actually true, being now that they are in the SEC, and Florida State does have an easier path in the ACC, but nobody's going to get upset. You have Arch Manning very happily sitting the bench at Texas, collecting probably $1 million a year as the backup quarterback. So the NIL has just changed this world around so many ways that it's just not. It's unfathomable to really think about when you start to dig in. But it sucks. It's one of your best one of your best recruits overall, not just on the defensive side of the ball. But that's where we are right now, and that's the world we live in. In Mike Norvell, Florida State, you got to win some games. You got to start winning games, or else more of this will happen in the next 4 months.
Yeah, it's
I'll get right back to chatting with Richie, but if you work in online marketing or web development, you need a rock solid web host. And you and your clients need to be able to depend on them. Rapid SEO Host is the best choice for industry professionals who are serious about results. The Rapid SEO Host team has over 15 years of experience providing lightning fast load times, marketing expertise, and responsive personalized service to help their customers beat the competition. Because they're SEO specialists, it's right there in their name. They know how to boost Google rankings and get your clients' websites seen by more people. You can sign up today with Rapid SEO Host's affiliate program, and you'll get paid to host your websites with them with no expiration dates. They even have maintenance and marketing packages that will put their experts at your fingertips to boost what your business can do. Make Rapid SEO Host your partner and start taking your business to the next level. Sign up now at the link in my description.
Yeah, it's tough, because it's also in a position of dire need. It's a position that
Yeah.
you absolutely need to get better at. It's a position that you can't stand to lose elite talent. You're getting bullied right now in the trenches by um, teams like Boston College and Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
and you can't afford to lose trench talent like that. Now, they still have the number one edge committed in Javion Hilson, flip from Alabama in December. That needs to be somebody they hold on to. They still have Kevin Wynn committed. Um, and so they need to hold on to both of those without a doubt, obviously. Like that goes without saying. And if they're not able to, man, a bad situation goes from pretty bad to worse. So
Yeah.
I did a video late last week, it might have been Friday night, on how they need to reevaluate some of their strategies and some of the ways that they attack high school recruiting, some of the ways that they invest in their um, roster. I also saw an article from Brendan Sinone that I'm looking forward to reading. I don't know um, if that was somewhere, if he mentioned that at all in his. But anyway, I think it's something that they need to address and get a little bit better with. And it's a concerning. It's what could be a concerning start. We'll see if the staff can get back a hold of it. Got to win some games. You got to make sure you're locked in with your relationships and you're selling kids the right way. Got to make sure you're compensating them fairly. And Florida State's being negatively recruited because of some things that have happened, and they gotta put a stop to it. So, all right.
So there you have it. Obviously pretty concerned with where recruiting is at this moment. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. We can dissect this from a million different angles. It's tough to do that in season when changes aren't necessarily able to be made, but probably should have been made with the staff before this season. It's back and forth with trying to cover Memphis and talk about recruiting and talk about big picture stuff. And so there's a lot going on at once, and we're going to continue to bring the very best content that we can despite results or despite the way that recruiting or play on the field goes. So stick with us. I know that you're frustrated, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk through this. Let's group therapy through this together. Listen, let's go out and win a game on Saturday. Let's stop the bleeding and let's get back on the right track. But, staff has some work to do, and hopefully Mike has some work to do to tinker with some things on that staff and make some pretty big changes, which seems like it's what's needed. So, listen, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate Rapid SEO Host for their support making this video possible. And we will talk to you guys soon. As always, go Noles.